Today I'm doing a video on how long air scrubbers should run inside containment areas after remediation is complete. I get this question a lot. As a matter of fact, I got it today, which is what spurred my drive to go ahead and make this video. But anyway, the client asked, he said, well, in your proposal, you guys didn't mention how long you guys are going to run the machine for. But in these other proposals I'm getting, they're making a big deal about it, and they say they're going to run the machine for 48 hours or for 72 hours after the work is done. And what do you have to say about it? And so my answer is basically the short answer. If you're going to just watch this for a minute, the short answer is it doesn't matter. After assuming that the machine is properly sized to the containment, you're really going to clean the air as much as it's going to be cleaned after about 2 hours. Most testers want the air change. They want about 8 to 12 air changes to happen before they test. And you're going to get that in roughly 2 hours of running the machine after remediation is complete. The long answer is, it's hard. It's hard being a homeowner, I think, and trying to hire a service-based company, which is what mold remediation is. It's service-based. You're not buying a car. You're not buying a coffee cup where you can pick it up and feel it and stuff, before you buy it. And so you're trying to understand what separates us, and the problem is sometimes people latch on like a pit bull onto very minor details, and this is what this is. This is like carrying what size lug nuts are on your car wheel or something. It's a very small detail. The reason being, when you go into the S520 mold remediation standard, which is the Bible of our industry. The S520 is, it's the book the lawyers pull out if there's ever a lawsuit. It's a very big deal. It's the end-all be-all. There's other guidelines out there, but they're just guidelines. They're not the standard like this S520 is. Anyway, the S520 says that you need to have negative air pressure set up while remediation is going on. And it's critical. I mean, that negative air is just absolutely critical to our work, because as soon as you touch a mold colony or spray something on it or put a fan on it or whatever, the mold spore count just skyrockets. I mean, it goes into the millions very quickly. And so that negative air pressure is just absolutely critical to prevent cross-contamination, prevent the mold from going elsewhere in the house and making you sick or exposing you to mold over a long period of time. And most companies just gloss right over that. They just go, yeah, we're going to put our negative air, and everybody says that, but the homeowners don't really know what that means. And so that's why we spend a lot of time on that during the estimate process to explain it. We have a diagram we give you, this is what it looks like, this is, how it's done. And running the machine afterwards, the S520 doesn't mention anything about that. It just says, it doesn't say anything, so there's no guidance on that. So that's no help. Turning to the mold testers all have their individual preferences. So some will say they want the machine to run for 8 hours, some say 24, some say 72, some say none, some say no hours. But for the most part, most of them want 8 to 12 air changes to happen before they come and test. And so taking this client's example, it's a small hall bathroom is what's affected. And the bathroom's little. It's probably only 5 feet long by 3 feet wide by 8 feet tall. And 5 by 3 by 8 is 120. And don't think I'm some math genius. I did the math for her in this email, so I don't just do that off the top of my head. But anyway, so 120 cubic feet is how big her room is. Now, the smallest machine that we have is 750 cubic feet per minute, meaning, it will, in 1 minute, it will filter 750 cubic feet of air on high. So if you divide 120 into 750, or 750 and 120, anyway, point is, the machine filters the air 6.25, it filters the entire cubic footage of that room 6.25 times every minute. So that's every 10 seconds really is it's filtering, it's doing one complete air change. So, again, going back to the mold testers where they like 8 to 12 air changes to happen, pretty much after 2 minutes, we've done what they want done, Now we'll set a timer on it and run the machine for another 8 hours. But when you get into this 48-hour and 72-hour thing that other companies talk about, when you do the math on that, basically, if we ran the machine for 48 hours, it would do 18,000 air changes in that bathroom by the time the machine's turned off. And that's just crazy. That's just, what's the benefit of that? of 18,000 air changes. I mean, how clean do you think the air is going to be after 90? I mean, how much do you think it's going to do that much of a big deal? I mean, I no, it's not. So it's almost like these people who they have a spotless floor and they're in there like cleaning with a toothbrush. Their bathroom is sterilized, but yet they're in there with a steam cleaner or something trying to kill non-existent bacteria. I don't know. Pick whatever example you want, but it's point is, at some point, we're just wasting your electricity if we had the machine out there for running for 2-3 days. And I have a few theories about where this 3-day requirement came from. So mold remediation is most commonly associated with water damage companies. Most water damage companies do mold remediation, and the overall field is called restoration. So most companies, do water damage, fire damage, mold remediation, biohazard cleanup. It's a thing where they do the service, and it's not. It's really not part of that industry. It's more closely associated with like asbestos abatement or lead abatement, because water damage is it's very violent. It's almost like a violent drawing of a room. They set up these fans, they set up these dehumidifiers. They're very loud. They stir up a whole ton of air. There's no sleeping in the house really while this drawing is going on. It's so loud, and they're stirring up this air to try to dry it out. And the problem is they go, well, if mold was created by water, then we can send the same guys out to go do mold remediation, and they're two totally different things. With mold remediation, it's a very tightly controlled demolition, really, is what it comes down to. Whereas with water damage restoration, water damage mitigation, it's stirring this air up and trying to dry it out before mold starts to grow and bacteria and all this other stuff. So in the restoration industry, the water damage guys, their rule of thumb is 3 days. So they want to dry out everything in 3 days. After 3 days, it's a pretty safe bet that the drywall and the carpet and stuff isn't salvageable anymore because mold's growing and bacteria and pathogens and stuff. So they want to dry it out in 3 days. And the thing is, most companies work with insurance companies, and the insurance company has a program called Xactimate, and they price per square foot. So they price per square foot, and they price per daily equipment rental rates. So if they put a fan in your house for a day, or for 10 days, let's say, that fan is charged at a daily rate. And so most insurance companies will pay up to 3 days. And so I think that's where that comes from. Is a lot of guys they do 3 days for equipment rental for the water damage side of things. So we might as well apply that to the mold and run our equipment for 3 days. And and I'm not going to try to say what these guys are thinking or what they're not. I don't know. But I have, like I said, this is a theory. That either it's the way that they're used to doing business, or that they can charge equipment rental fees, because it helps improve the bottom line, the amount of money they're charging, or maybe they don't know any better, or maybe they've never asked. Maybe they've never read the S520. There's a lot of things it could be, and also too, they could just be following the crowd. I mean, most companies, we're no exception. When I first started doing this with a partner years, 10, 13 years ago, we did 3 days too. I didn't know any better. It wasn't until I started going to the conferences and started asking some of the industry leaders and stuff, hey, how long do you run these machines for? And they were just like, we don't care. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't care? So, it was eye-opening for me. So anyway, I hope that helps.